Hello, hello, good people. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching this from. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Audrie Ashiali. I'm a high school teacher of English language and literature. In this session, I'll be doing the second part of the Q&A on working abroad as an international teacher. So straight up, if you are a new subscriber, welcome to my channel. And please remember to subscribe to that button. Yeah, hit that button and subscribe. If you're a returning subscriber, namaste. Thank you so much. I appreciate for staying here as we are growing. Yeah, the odd family is growing. So thank you so much. First things first, I'll go to the next question, or rather the last question that I told you I'll be responding to. How does one cope with the change of environment, country systems, and how to deal with homesickness? So working abroad comes with various challenges. One of them is the change of environment. I'm talking from the perspective of a Kenyan, yeah? Having been in Kenya, rarely, from the part of I come from western part of Kenya, so we rarely experience winter and summer, these combinations. Unless you are near Mount Kenya or near Mount Kilimanjaro, that's when you'll experience a lot of, winter. Or if you're near the highlands, like in Limuru, Kikuyu, Rift Valley, yeah, you'll experience winter. Now, first things first, change of environment. Well, I think it goes back to you being adaptable. It becomes crazy. You just have to fit in, know what type of clothes to buy that would ensure that you don't feel, that much cold. Again, during summer, I was in Middle East and it really gets hot to as much as 50 degrees Celsius. So what comes in hand is maybe if you're going to use public transport as well, the buses are well conditioned. If you're using a taxi, it's well conditioned. If you have your own car, well, better off. But most of the buildings are well conditioned, so you don't tend to suffer unless you're outside. Maybe an umbrella could save the day just to prevent you from the heat. But again, you also probably would prefer, taking walks in the evening or in the morning instead of during the day because it really gets hot. Same case applies to winter when the temperatures get to, like in Europe, when the temperatures get to negative, hits -1, -2 until -20, then it is advisable that you properly, you dress appropriately to, fight this aspect of winter. I'm trying to look for the best word to use. Again, change of environment goes hand in hand with the people that you're interacting with. Well, it could be challenging at first. Like when I went to Uzbekistan and I was in Fergana. Fergana region is not so much as, exposed to international expatriates like Tashkent, the capital city. So I, first of all, had a challenge because there was a lot of attention. Most people had never seen, have never interacted with a black person. So anywhere you walk into, you are the center of attraction. So it was fun during the first days. Everyone wants to take a picture and you are like a celebrity. So I enjoyed and swerved in. But after some time, I realized that I couldn't even have my free space. You'd walk into a restaurant and you want to eat and already somebody wants to talk to you. They want to converse with you. So it became a bit, challenging because I'm trying to be accommodative, understand that they just want to talk to me. But at the same time, I realized that I have to do this with 5 or 10 or, so many people. So it got to a point where I learned how to say no in a nice way, like I'll be hi, and just end the conversation and, move. But at the same time, you'd be in an environment where people don't want to talk to you. They just look at you like, and they're gone. So it varies. You just have to understand that you're not in your home country and you find different types of people, and that shouldn't get so much into you. Again, the country systems and the way things are done. Oh yeah, I learned how to document things. I learned how to sign so many documents. I learned how to follow proper rules. It just goes back to you being flexible and adaptable. And then dealing with homesickness. Well, my first 6 years working abroad was so challenging because I was not with my daughter and it was so frustrating. But this academic year, I'm so happy because I'm with my girl. And, I tend to enjoy, at least I feel, yes, I miss home, but at least I have somebody to talk to, so I don't miss home that much. But for those ones who miss home, tend to find a support group, tend to find friends who share similar interests with you. I'm a lover of films, so most of the time I would go to the cinema to, watch movies. I would attend football matches just to scream and shout. I would go to, listen to music, go out, drive to somewhere. Just find something that is, engaging and you love. Yeah. If you love doing it, then go for it. I mean, it will serve you the aspect of feeling, homesick. In Bahrain, it was so easy for me because there were a lot of Kenyans there, and I had two friends that I would, drive to their home, play with their kids, stay with them, talk to them, share different experiences. So at least I felt at home. I didn't miss home that much, just that I wasn't with my daughter. So yeah, it varies. And then how do you balance between work and social activities? I think first things first, you know what has brought you into that country. If it is work, then go and do your work to your level best. Some people have a rule that when they're at home, they do nothing about work. They don't touch anything to do with work. So they just focus mainly on, their social lives, going out with friends, meeting new people, traveling to exploring the country. So just have a balance and understand that as an individual, you also have your social life. But at the same time, you have a job to do. So do your best at work and do your best in your social life so that you have a balance in between. Okay, question 3. Very interesting. Kenyans love saving. There's this myth of how expensive living abroad is. What are some of the survival tactics? Well, yeah, Kenyans, we do love saving. That is true. Living abroad is expensive, but at the same time, it also depends with how you want to live your life. Do you want to live an extravagant life? Do you just want to live a life that is enough, that you are able to pay for your bills easily, you're able to have a roof over your head, have food comfortably, or you want to live the extravagant life where you can't even cook a meal for yourself? So it varies. Well, survival tactics that I have used mainly is when it comes to buying groceries or shopping. Let me start with that. First things first, I ensure that I shop enough for the month, the main groceries that I need for the house. I shop for the month to cut down on the aspect of shopping every week for the same thing. So over the week, I just buy things like vegetables, meat, just basic daily necessities. But whatever I need for the whole month, I buy it in bulk. It will be, I wouldn't say it will be cheaper, but it will just be easier for you to manage. You know that this is how much you're making. This is what goes into your, expenditure in terms of food. This is what goes into your expenditure in terms of transport. If you're buying fuel for your car, or if you're using taxi, this is what goes for entertainment, and this is what you're saving. So you have a distinctive way of differentiating what goes where and what goes how. Another thing that I've also used in terms of a tactic is I had a money market account with Sanlam, and every month I ensure that I don't touch this amount of money. This money goes straight to Sanlam. And if I have a project at home, I know I'm abroad maybe for 10 months, in July when I'm home, I know I have saved this amount of money, and it's getting an interest with money market. So by the end of those 10 months or one academic year, I go back home, I have my money. I don't touch it. That is just money that you put aside for saving. Something else that I've also done that has worked for me is, again, saving for my kid. I've taught her from a young age how to save. So I opened an account for her education. So I don't stress about school fees. Every month I ensure that even if it is $50, just put it there because it's for fees. That is what is going into her school fees. By the time the academic year is done, you'll be surprised. You have $600. It depends with how much you're saving. If you're saving $100 every month, at the end of the year, you have $1,200, which can sort you out instead of just waiting for last minute to, try and collect money here and there. Well, again, something else that I would say is a survival tactic or technique. If you're a teacher and you have extra time, you could do tuition, like tutoring, and then get an extra pay and use that to supplement your income if it is not enough. I hope I helped someone. There's so much. I just can't finish everything here, but let's get moving. Do you get resented at times or being looked down upon by natives? Well, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe once or twice. But it's normal. I mean, I wouldn't say it's normal. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say once or twice. I honestly can't remember those specific incidences. But honestly, I've had an easier transition. There are people who you'd walk up to, maybe you need help, and because of language barrier, you can't communicate, so they won't respond to you because they don't know who you are. And there are those ones who are just accommodative and very easy to interact with. They'll be like, and you can use a Google translator, and they'll talk to you. I've not had any nasty experience in terms of, somebody looking down on me. But you can meet people who really are like, you're a Black person, you're an African, and, they have this mentality of, we coming from I don't want to say those words, but like, yeah. Once I had a person ask me, did you travel, are there airports in Kenya? How did you travel to this country? And I told the guy, oh, we don't have airports in Kenya. Actually, what happens is we run because, Kenya is known for marathon. So we run, and then when it gets at night, we, transform into being birds, and then we fly. When we get near a lake or a sea or an ocean, we, transform again and become a shark or a whale, and we swim across. And I just looked at him, I'm like, oh yeah. So people have different perceptions and mentality towards a country or a nation before they're prejudiced before interacting with anyone. So I get to teach them some things that they don't know. So I explain to them later on that, yeah, Kenya is just like any other country. We have an airport. Come on. We don't walk or run to get to another country. Yeah. Yeah, there's some nasty questions that you'll get, but it's how you interact or how you handle it, how you handle them and the response you give. Sometimes you can be sarcastic in a way, but in one or the other, you just ensure that it doesn't get to your heart. Yeah, just be yourself. Okay, another question. Let's see. This person says, which subjects are not taught in international schools? So I'll answer it in 2 ways: international schools in Kenya and international schools abroad. I don't know if you meant this, but in most cases, the international schools in Kenya, you'll find that most of the subjects that we are teaching in the CBC 844, rather CBC curriculum, are also taught in the international curriculum, except for agriculture. I'm not sure about this, guys. I have to consult. I'm not sure about this, but you'll find that history and geography is taught under integrated humanities. And then there's individual and societies, and there's global perspectives. All these cover the humanities sector. So there's just a different way of how it's not, and some schools actually teach them separately. Like you have history separately, geography separately. But in IB, you'll have individuals and societies. You'll also have integrated humanities. So it varies. Yeah. Kiswahili, if it's an international school in Kenya, yes, it's taught as both, I think, a second language. Either a first and a second language, yeah? In Kenya, it's taught as a second language, so it's there served. Any other subject, what have I left behind apart from, I'm talking about subjects that might be different. The rest are fully covered. Home science, yeah? It's called home economics, or it's called economics. There's just a change or modification of it. I'm talking about Kenya. In an international setting like outside, Kiswahili, unless in the US, where there are programs that are introducing Swahili as a language. Yeah? In South Africa as well, in Rwanda as well. So it is taught in those. I don't know much about Swahili, but I know it has been introduced as a subject in different countries. So you can find schools that are actually offering it. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's in Sweden, who was telling me that because his kids their first language is Swahili, or rather their mother tongue is Swahili, they had to find a teacher in Sweden to teach them Swahili in that school. So it varies. Agriculture and home science, honestly, I don't know much about it. But every other subject, biology, chemistry, English, maths, physics, history, geography, they are all taught. So it's just an alignment that is there. Next question, is there age limit to who can apply? Most countries have an age restriction of 60. So if you're 60 years and below, 60 years and above, you can't. Some schools though take up, I don't know, but I know in Middle East it was 60 years. If you're 60 years and above, that is cut off. And of course, you can't, 18, no, because 18 you just assume to have been done with high school. So 4 years for college, we're assuming, or university. That makes you 22, and then maybe 2 years experience. So 24, 26 is the appropriate age to start working abroad or being absorbed. I'm talking about a Kenyan advancing or transitioning into working abroad. So, but I know maximum, most countries have it at 60 years. Okay. Next question, about language barrier, the fact that you're teaching in how do you socialize with locals in shopping center and blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, I had this challenge. In Bahrain, it wasn't that much because if you walk in Middle East, most of the things are, in the malls, you'll find expatriates, find different. So English is used mainly. In Uzbekistan, I had a challenge because most of the commodities, even in the supermarket, were written either in the Uzbek language or the Russian language. So I had to use a translator most of the time. Or sometimes I'd go shopping with one of my colleagues who is an Uzbek and she would translate for me. In Moscow, translator. Again, I'm trying to use. My daughter, though, is studying Russian. So at least she's able to, read some words for me, but I can't. So most of the time I just use my Google Translator. And yeah, some of the locals speak in English. Not all of them don't. Most of them can. Some of them can speak in English. Not most of them, rather. Some of them can speak in English, so it becomes easier. If it's not, you just have to use a Google Translator. I am also learning. I try to learn some words so that I just don't look left out. Yeah. Being a Black African, do you get services offered for Blacks like salon, African food? Do they play African music? How about racism? Whoa, interesting. Well, I miss Bahrain because Bahrain had everything of this. I think I need to go back to Bahrain. I did have a challenge in Bahrain because there were a lot of African salons. So, and shout out to my salon, my hairdresser, Sylvia. I hope you're fine. Yeah? Oh, yeah. She used to make my hair in Bahrain. So, yeah, there were salons. And there was African music. There wasn't any form of racism. Only in terms of jobs, you'll find that some websites will tell you we want native speakers of English, to take up these jobs first. So if they don't get native speakers of English, they go to South Africa. If they don't get a South African, that's when they think of a Kenyan or a Nigerian or a Ghanaian. So in terms of jobs, you can get these on most websites, or in terms of salary, they will tell you, this is the much we can give you. They won't tell you to your face that it's because you're an African or because you're a Kenyan, but this is the much you can give you. And you check whatever they're offering to other races or other people, you realize that there's a balance. So there's that form of discrimination. I tell you, I kid you not. In Uzbekistan, the people were lovely. They're so friendly and accommodative. I miss them as well. Well, I had a challenge with getting an African salon. I remember I had to travel to Tashkent, the capital city, to just get my hair fixed. So yeah, that was a challenge. In Moscow, there isn't much. There are several African salons, so at least I can get a salon to go to. They play African music. Honestly, I've not had any in Moscow. I've not been to a club or something, but in Bahrain, it used to be there. In Uzbekistan, if they see you getting into, like an event, a wedding, and what have you, they would automatically play Sabina Mina, waka waka, Sabina Mina zang. And I would dance, because it's like they are identifying that you were there. So I would feel it. I've not been to any event in Moscow, but maybe once I get there, I'll be able to share my feedback. Okay, next question. How can someone survive in the desert without difficulties, and why every day the cost of living is increasing? Oh, that's an interesting question. In the desert, maybe this person is asking about Middle East. Yeah, semi-arid desert. How can you survive? I keep on saying it all goes back to you as an individual. What are your objectives as a person? What do you want to achieve? Do you set goals that you work towards them, or do you just set goals and you forget about those goals? Being a self-driven person, knowing your worth and knowing what you want are most of the key things that will guide you as a person. Again, something else is just understanding where you are and the changes that are taking place. Once you get into a country, you realize it's a bit different from your country. The culture is different, the cost of living is different, and it keeps on increasing every day. Then you have to adjust, your budget. If you are somebody who was spending, let's say, $1,000 every month, spend it and just leave it at that, then automatically, and you realize that the cost of living is increasing every day, then you have to adjust and know that for me to be able to meet these, maybe I need to get an extra job that compensates, or I need to cut down on a few things just to be able to survive as an individual. And then something else I forgot, there was a question about how much, what is the approximated pay per hour or per month for teachers. This varies within countries, from as I don't want to say as little, from as much as maybe $1,500 a month on the lower side to about $10,000 a month. It varies. Countries like Hong Kong, they pay higher. Hong Kong, China, basically because of the cost of living, rent is way, way too high. You can get about $8,000, $10,000, but I know the average varies between $2,000 to $3,500 in between there. That is, I'm talking about net, not gross. So it varies. It varies within countries. Again, how much could one possibly save in a month? This one goes back to, if you're living with your family, it's different from somebody who's living as a single person, If you're a single person, it's just you. So you can limit whatever you're eating, blah, 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 and, channel a lot of saving. If you're with your family, it becomes different because you have to budget for 2 or 3 or 4 people. And also, it varies with whatever amount of money you're making. Hi, Mama. Hi. No one is seeing you. Say hi. Hi. That's my daughter. She doesn't like videos at all. Anyway, so that varies depending with how much you're making. For example, if you are in Middle East, and Middle East is tax-free, so your salary is tax-free, and let's say you're earning $1,000 a month, what you need to think of is maybe, and you've been given accommodation and transport to school. So you're only left with how much you need to spend in a month in terms of food. You could spend about maybe $300 and you have $700. So if you're sending maybe, let's say, like $200 at home, you have $500 to save every month. It varies. And then maybe somebody else who's making $2,000 who has all these benefits and they have a family, of course, they will not be saving $500. Maybe because they have to buy food and the expenses vary. So it all goes hand in hand with if you're an individual person, if you're, a single person, or you are with your family. That one again goes with your expenditure, with the type of person you are. If you're an extravagant, you might end up not saving anything. But if you are able to plan ahead and you follow a system, like you say, this amount of money is going for food and you don't touch it. This is going for saving and you don't touch. This is going for school fees. This is going for this. It will be much easier. Some people, like me, I ended up doing a lot of chamas when I was in Bahrain. So I would, get a chunk and put it in a chama, get another amount of money, put it in Sanlam for savings, get some, put in my daughter's education fund, like that. So that, I'm just left with maybe, let's say $300 and I can't go above this. Yeah, that's it. Okay, next question. Good. Okay. I don't want to read your name. Understanding saving versus black tax. A very interesting question. Well, black tax, people call it black tax because as an African community or as black people with an African origin or entity, we tend to, send money back at home to take care of siblings, take care of parents, so it is termed as black tax. As a person, you need to know that at the end of the day, you come first. If, God forbid, you drop dead today, people will move on with their lives. No, yeah, they will cry, they will lament, they will bury you, and after 2, 3, 4 days, they will move on with their lives. So whether that support is there or it's not there, at the end of the day, you have to remember, are you straining so much? Or are you giving enough such that you don't feel like you're straining? Yeah. As a person, you need to understand that you have to save for a rainy day. Working abroad, you're not guaranteed. These jobs are not guaranteed. They are contractual. So you might have a contract for 1 year, you might have a contract for 2 years or 3 years. Well, are you saving for a rainy day? In as much as it doesn't mean that you're not going to help your parents or support your siblings, or support any other person that is there. But are you saving for a rainy day? Are you giving out so much until you have nothing? They normally say you can't pour out of an empty cup. There must be something left. So in as much as you're, giving out for black tax, you're giving money, you're supporting, you're doing this, please ensure you save something for yourself. Because at the end of the day, believe you me, some people will even tell you, we didn't ask you to do this for us. Why did you do it? Ulikuwa unajionyesha mwenyewe, so no one will care about it. Yeah. Anyway, let me move to the next question. Black tax, it goes back to you as an individual. Please don't give much such that you strain and you have nothing left. Yeah. Give enough and you're left with enough. And learn to say no. If you've given out money and you feel like you're being extorted, like it's becoming a routine, just learn to say no. Ensure that at least the basic needs are taken care of. If that is taken care of, then remember that you have yourself to take care of, you have your family to take care of. And at the end of the day, you can't exceed your limit. Learn to say no when it's time to say no. Okay. Howly creative. I'll move to the next question. I think this is a repeated question, so I'll just skip it. I'll move to the next question. How lucrative is teaching in a foreign country opposed from doing it from your homeland? I think I answered this in the first section. But maybe lucrative in terms of funds, let me say. Of course, yes. You can't compare what an ordinary teacher is making back at home. Teaching the CBC or 844, maybe in a board, not fully employed by TSC. And somebody working abroad, because the cost of living is high, so even it tends to affect how much you're being paid. I would say again, teaching abroad comes with a lot of benefits. It just goes back to you as an individual on how you spend, what kind of expenditures you have, and how much you can save. Apart from the exposure that comes with working abroad, interacting with different cultures, professional development, viewing life from a different perspective, interacting with people from different cultures. The financial bit also is an asset or an essential, because of course you would not want to have a job that is underpaying you. You'd want to have a job that pays you enough, that can take care of your bills, and you're able to save something back at home. What are the terms of employment abroad, permanent or contractual? I've not seen any contracts that are permanent. I've not seen any jobs that are permanent. Most of the jobs are contracts. So some schools will offer you 1 year, some schools will offer you 2 years, depending with their management or the board of directors. And also your performance. Most schools tend to look at appraisal, like how do you perform? Were you able to meet the objectives set at the end of the academic year? And they'll retain you. They'll give you another year or 2 years or 3 years. It varies with schools. So most of them are contractual based. And thank you so much. That was the second part of Q&A from your loving teacher, Miss Audrey. Thanks so much. Enjoy your evening or morning or afternoon. Bye-bye. Mwah.